Okay, to hell with it. I'm coming out with it. It has to come out. This is like therapy, getting it all out of my chest. I feel guilty that I didn't die in a racing car. I don't believe I even just said it. I haven't even told my mother. I haven't told my father. I haven't told anyone. Well, except for one person, I did say it before, but this guy's an athlete. You know, I never actually thought I'd be out of the cockpit. Not ever. Not for 1 second. You spend your whole life pushing to the edge, risking it all, and deep down knowing there's a chance you might never walk away again. And you accept it. You embrace it. Then it all stops. Then it all stops. And you're left here breathing, living, while some of the best guys you never knew, they're not here anymore. And the question lingers, why me?
Walsh running the Irish green, and look at the move he's making down to the inside.
Moves to the front with fifth all the way to the lead in lap one.
Walsh takes win number 2.
Peter. Walsh. I know we're going very heavy here on the Peter Walsh Show today, lads, but you know, honestly, I don't think a lot of people do quite know what podcasting can be kind of like sometimes. You know, I always try to bring useful information, maybe a bit of entertainment as well. But sometimes this is just like therapy, man. And getting it off your chest. I can't even imagine now what my mother and father are going to say. I don't even know if they even listen to the podcast, I'll be honest. But they're going to hear about this. You know, I still feel like I'm in the cockpit. The way my hands twitch sometimes when I see a sharp corner. The way my mind calculates braking points when I'm driving on a normal street sometimes. The way the smell of fuel, the burning rubber, the hot tarmac, it doesn't fade, man. And it's part of me. And it was... But here's the thing. When I was racing, it was simple. It was pure, lads. You go as fast as you can, as close to death, close as possible. And believe me, you're shaking hands with the devil here. You really are. And you don't think about anything else. You don't think about what happens after. And now, what do you think? Justin Wilson, Dan Wheldon, these guys, men fallen. Neil Shanahan, men fallen. They're not here, and it kind of doesn't make sense either. I remember the first time I heard the news about Wheldon, my father told me actually, and it hit me like a gut punch. This guy, he was great. I mean, you know, he won the Indy 500 twice. I knew him quite well, you know, and he's bloody quick, man. I could tell you stories as well, but I'm not going to go in that. You know, a crash, a fireball, and bang, he's gone. Just like that. Boom. The guy's gone. And I watched the footage. The car's scattered like marbles, man. Not knowing... The moment you realize... The moment you realize you're just a passenger is a scary thing. You know? The second where control is, it's completely gone. The wheel, it's like an illusion almost. It's where you're waiting for the impact but have no idea how it's going to end. And for Dan, it ended. And for me, it didn't. I mean, you've got true heroes. Ayrton Senna. I know people are probably sick to death of me talking about Ayrton Senna. He gave his life to this thing. He gave his life. Now, I want to say as well, lads, I'm not a depressive type of person. I'm not like that at all. In fact, I've even said it in some night outs that I've had with some of the lads. I don't know how it came up, But I went, lads, I can't even believe I'm here. And, you know, I was spared. I was spared. Maybe I haven't got my calling yet. I don't know if this podcast is going to be. I don't know if the next thing I do, I don't know what's going to come around the corner. But I was spared. These guys went in and out. It's almost like a follow-through punch. You know, you've got to follow through with your punch to get a proper punch. And you know, and then I look at Justin Wilson, you know, a great guy, I know him, great guy. He took a piece of debris to the head and bang, that was it, done. Another Wheldon type of scenario. You can probably tell as I'm a bit on edge here talking about this. You know, you tell yourself over and over that the odds are low, the safety's improved, and it does get better. It's getting safer every year in racing, lads. But then the logic kind of crumbles. The logic crumbles. Because racing doesn't care about stats. It doesn't care about how experienced you are, how smart you drive, how much you respect the danger. It just takes. And somehow I wasn't taken. And should I feel grateful? Should I feel lucky? You're goddamn right I should. And why do I have this guilt that I didn't go down? I mean, that's effed up, man. That's so effed up to even think that. It's so weird. Because at least it would kind of make sense. My story would have a proper ending. But now, I'm here. And I have a lot of confusion. I don't know. And I know that for some weird reason, I must have been spared for something. You know, sometimes I walk into a coffee shop, lads, you know, and I hear people talking about their daily struggles. You know, are their bosses an a-hole? And, you know, I just want to grab them and shake them and like, are you kidding me? Do you really know what real fear is, lads? Do you really want to know? And do you know what it's like to have men that you knew very, very well? They're gone. And then you have to go into a cockpit and treat it like nothing has happened. I should be dead, my man. I should be dead. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I want to be dead. But I didn't do my full job. Oh, this is so messed up. I miss the brotherhood. Racing, it's more than just a sport, man. It's a bond. It's a code. It's a silent agreement that we will make. We'll do this because we love it and we accept that we might go down. And when you lose people in racing, it's not just a toss. It's a wound. It's a wound that never heals. You don't just lose someone. You lose part of yourself a little bit, I have to admit. And every time someone else goes, you start to wonder how much is left. And by the way, this is not me, you know, signing off here, lads, committing suicide. Absolutely not. I love my family. I love my friends. I do love my life. I really do. And maybe this doesn't sound, what the hell is he talking about? But I don't know. Maybe it's not just about the fact that I lived. Maybe it's the fact that I didn't follow through. I don't know what the answer is, lads. I don't even know if there is an answer. But I do know this. The ghosts of racing never leave you. They stay in your head, your heart, your blood. And, you know, every one of us, I feel like the most luckiest man on the planet too, that I experienced racing. That I feel lucky that I'm actually messed up over it, I have to admit. Like, It's the greatest honor of my life. And whether I live to 46, whether I live to 100, I will appreciate every single day I have. And I do. I do. And, sometimes actually there can be good things out of this. I mean, even guys, a lot of you probably know that I'm adopted, right? And for a lot of adopted kids, and I'm not talking about my family now here. I'm not talking about people in general, okay? I'm just saying I'm talking in general, sorry. But I'm talking in general, there's quite a lot of adopted kids that they go looking for their birth parents because there's something missing in them, okay? I don't have that. I never had that because I had brothers, real deep. Roger Parks and Brian Keenan. They're my brothers, man. They're my brothers. So I know what it's like what it feels like to have someone that, even though you're not blood related to somebody, I still know what it's like to have a brother. And believe me, my mother, I adore that woman to bits. I adore her to bits. She is awesome. And I love my family, man. I love my family. Absolutely adore them to bits. And I know what it's like to have bonds and brotherhood. You don't need to be adopted. You don't need to be not adopted. You don't need to be the orphan. You don't need to be a foster kid, whatever you call it, okay? You can have brotherhood. And if anybody out there is struggling, all right, there's a lot of goodness that has come from this. I'm tougher. I'm a survivor. That's for goddamn sure, I know that. I'm a fighter. And you appreciate what you have. Those of you wanting to go out, take a risk. Okay? Taking a risk. Go take the risk. F it. Just go for it, man. And, people talk about, for instance, guys, I'm even looking at trying to get a job right now. Okay? This is probably not going to be wonders for getting a job, but still. But even getting a job right now, people say, oh, well, hey, it's be good, man. You'd be standing on your own 2 feet. And you're like, what? And these a-holes that come to you and say, hey, man, yeah, stand on your own 2 feet now, man, and this and that, and blah, blah, blah. First of all, I don't know where they get this from. I think it's more of a delusion. And I think it's more like, if you really want to stand on your own 2 feet, if you really want to stand on your own 2 feet, go out there and risk everything. I'm not saying, throw your job into the bin tomorrow morning and go out there with no money. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying if you really want to know what it's like to stand on your own 2 feet, really want to know what's like standing on your own 2 feet, go out and start up a business, start a career in something, risk everything. And that is the moment you will feel truly alive for the first time in your life. Anyway, guys, I think we're going to leave it there.
Walsh running the Irish green, and look at the move he's making down to the inside.
Moves to the front from fifth all the way to the lead in lap 1.
Walsh takes win number 2.
Peter. Wow. Okay, lads, let's move this on to maybe some more positive happiness. So, Drive to Survive. It is coming back, ladies and gentlemen. It is coming back. 7th of March, season 7. Let's go in and let's see what they're saying about this and why we should all get excited about this. Now, lads, here's the thing. If you've not seen Drive to Survive, well, we're going to be covering it anyway, as we've done throughout the last couple of years. We're going to do more episodes, obviously, depending on the latest news, updates, and obviously that takes priority over Drive to Survive. but you'll see anyway that I have definitely been covering Drive to Survive, the Netflix show. It's brilliant. It is riveting, captivating, gripping, intense. I mean, what's the difference between glory and disaster is measured in 1,000th of a second. You know, this is the fun part of this too, where rivalries, it's not just about winning, it's about survival, lads. You know, and imagine all that bottled in a show so dramatic, until, you know, so gripping, so unbelievably intense. It turned it turned casual viewers into diehard fans of Formula One. I'm not joking you, by the way. You know, I'll put it this way. When I was racing, lads, no one gave a damn about racing in Ireland. Okay, they didn't. It's not even in the top 10 sports, I would say. And women, you know, you'd think, you know, oh yeah, women must love you, man, you know. Like, okay, England, yeah, they definitely loved it over there, no doubt about it. America didn't give a damn. Ireland didn't give a damn. And most of the world. But now I'm seeing women are coming over to me saying, Peter, gee, so was it this real? Was it this intense? Was it this, that? Like, the amount of questions I'm getting asked about Drive to Survive it's nuts. It's nuts. And, you know, and I would say 85%, depending on the episode. I'm always kind of going up and down by sort of 5-10%. But I honestly reckon, lads, you know, and I'm not BSing you here, it is 85% real. Now, some of the crashes, okay, they're turning up the volume of the pow, right? Now, don't get me wrong, in a car, it is like that because it's loud, it's noisy, it can bloody hurt too. But you wouldn't hear it that loud if you're watching, okay? Now, look, you know, I get it too. They have to, you know, throw a bit of drama in as well. Of course they do. And that's nothing to worry about. That's just amping up the tension. That's what it all is. So I wouldn't seriously wouldn't think, you know, oh, are they all lying? No, absolutely not. And, you know, I honestly, it's the best sports docu-series, whatever you call it, I think of all time. Number one, it was the first. Right, I mean, lads, you have to remember, if you've watched, I think, isn't there a basketball one as well, I think? There's, you know, the golf one. There's the, oh, my brain's gone blank now, but there's so many now that are coming out. The rugby one. There's so many coming out now these days. And Drive to Survive was the first. The original, baby. It was the first. And, you know, if you think you don't care about Formula One, this show will prove you wrong, lads, because it's not about racing. It's about power, politics, mind games, betrayal, redemption, the sheer human drama behind the world's fastest sport. I mean, it's great, man. And let me tell you why Drive to Survive is the best sports docuseries of all time. After watching it, you'll never look at competition the same way again. You know, and before Drive to Survive, Formula One was kind of like an exclusive club, if you get me. It was a sport dominated, and it is still, by billions of dollars, billion-dollar teams here, political backstabbing, technical jargon that, look, okay, you know, it mightn't make a lot of sense to some people watching. If you didn't grow up watching it, you weren't invited in. And for years, that was the problem, I think. Formula One was a spectacle, the speed, danger, technology, but it was hard to connect with. You know, and in Drive to Survive, you really do see the humanity behind the visor, I suppose you could say. You know, and it was all about the cars, the engineering, the data, and you know, and people thought that about it. And unless you were a hardcore fan, it kind of felt cold, let's be honest. Then Netflix came on, man, and literally stole the show. They ripped the curtain off, exposed the real Formula One in the background, lads. The backroom deals, the brutal mind games, the raw human emotion behind the helmets. It wasn't just about cars anymore. It was now about the people. And I think that's what people can really relate to. You know, we can relate to the drivers here as well. Like, certainly I can. But I think a lot of scenarios in this, you will actually relate to the drivers, you know, because you could be going through something like this yourself. You know, the heartbreak, the the excitement of winning, suddenly you weren't just watching a race, you were following warriors in battle, and you were inside their heads, living the fears, their dreams, their failures, and just like that, Drive to Survive made Formula One the fastest growing sport in the world. And it's funny, lads, because when season 1 dropped, I think it was 2019, was it? I think 2000. Nobody knew what to expect. I certainly didn't. And at the time, Formula 1 was kind of stagnating a bit. Fans were loyal, but aging. TV ratings were dropping, and outside of Europe, the sport, it just wasn't growing. Netflix came along. They filmed everything, the fights, the rivalries, the meltdowns. They got inside the teams, inside the garages, inside the minds of the drivers, which we absolutely love. And for the first time, people saw really what happens behind the scenes. And we saw Daniel Ricciardo struggling with his career choices. He was torn between, should he stay at Red Bull? Should he go? Will he get better treatment at a different team? It's tough going, man. And then we see Haas, a team on the edge of collapse, fighting for survival. And, then Gunther Steiner, some jockey, this fella, a team boss who swears like a sailor, becoming an instant fan favorite. I gotta admit, he is Drive to Survive, this guy. He's very entertaining. But I tell you, lads, I know what kind of sneaky, backstabbing guy this type of guy is. And believe me, he's the last guy you want as your team boss. But at the same time, Formula One, it became a soap opera with engines. And, the results, F1 exploded in popularity worldwide, everywhere. The US, a country that never gave a damn about Formula 1, really became one of its biggest markets. It still is. F1 has gained millions of new fans who didn't know a single rule before watching the show, I gotta admit. And all that happened before they even got to the biggest names of the sport. And, lads, every great show needs conflict. And Drive to Survive delivers more drama than a HBO series, really. It's insane. Think about it. This is a sport where teammates are forced to betray each other, where drivers fight for their careers every single race. The team owners make ruthless, and I mean ruthless, lads, business decisions that crush dreams in an instant. It's Succession, but on wheels going 200 mile an hour. And we get to witness rivalries that go beyond the track, like Verstappen and Hamilton. That was one hell of a showdown in Abu Dhabi, where an entire season boiled down to one final lap, and brutal firings where drivers are given a handshake and told to pack their bags mid-season. Yeah, mid-season. That rarely happens, lads, in the world of motorsport. Team politics, where even the best driver isn't enough if you're not in the right place at the right time. And it's not just a show about racing, really. It's high-stakes survival, where only the ruthless make it to the top, and that's why you can't stop watching. And if there ever was a moment in Drive to Survive that proved its power, it was 2021, baby. That was the year. Hamilton and Verstappen. That final lap. It became full-blown war, lads. And it was the greatest title fight in years, a season of pure chaos. The drama that unfolded with these two lads was unbelievable. Crashes, controversy, a final race that ended in just sheer madness. Millions of new fans who found F1 because of Netflix, really, and watched it in shock as the championship was decided within one lap. It was something out of a Hollywood movie, man. It was unbelievable. And that's when people finally understood, whoa, this is war, man. This is battle. And Drive to Survive, it's not just a documentary. It's the gateway drug to one of the most addictive sports on earth. Now, lads, don't get me wrong. There's been some few races now where we've seen and they've been quite boring. All right, let's be honest. We've all sat through some couple of boring F1 races. But man, oh man, how like a light switch it can change, and all of a sudden you're watching the greatest race of all time. The only question I got to ask you, lads, let me know in the comments, by the way. Let me know what you think. I'd like to know which favorite episode you had, or do you watch one over and over again, and why? Who's your favorite driver? I'd love to hear from what you think, lads. And if you haven't watched it, why haven't you watched it yet? If you love sports, this show gives you drama. If you love rivalries, this show gives you tension. If you love characters, this show gives you some of the most intense, passionate, and unpredictable athletes on the planet. And if you think, I don't like F1, so I won't like it, let me tell you this, neither did millions of other people until I watched Drive to Survive. And now they're F1 super fans. In fact, I even know this lady. She's, she's married to one of my friends. And she is absolutely 100% over the top, insanely obsessed with Formula 1 right now. And all because of F1 Drive to Survive. And I even asked her, I said, so, do you like surely you think some of the races are boring though, right? She goes, doesn't matter, I don't care. Don't care. Because it's all about Drive to Survive. And the Formula 1 is just kind of like, I wouldn't say a placeholder, but it's, it keeps the drama going. But the real hardcore emotion and raw magic is the Drive to Survive documentary. Go watch it, lads. Binge it. Let it pull you in. And when you're done, I'll see you at the next race.
Walsh running the Irish green, and look at the move. He's making down to the inside.
Moves to the front with fifth all the way to the lead in lap 1.
Walsh takes win number 2.
Peter. Walsh.